sound of a gentle breeze and distant water lapping. The first thing you notice when a gun is pointed at your daughter isn't the gun. It's the hand holding it, the way the knuckles are white and the skin is stretched tight, a web of veins popping from the sheer force of pure distilled rage. The gun itself is just a piece of cold black metal, but the hand is personal. And the hand holding the gun that was aimed squarely at my daughter Chloe's chest belonged to Brenda, the self-appointed queen of Heron's Landing, a woman who thought the bylaws of a defunct homeowners association gave her the power of God. She didn't know she was making the last and biggest mistake of her life. Because my daughter wasn't just some mom in a swimsuit enjoying a Sunday afternoon. She was the newly elected county sheriff. And Brenda's little kingdom was about to be wiped off the map. It had all started so peacefully, like a dream you don't want to wake up from. My wife Eleanor and I had worked our whole lives for this, me as a structural engineer, her as a school librarian. All we wanted was a quiet little house on Blue Jay Lake, a place with a sturdy dock for my terrible fishing attempts and a screened-in porch where Ellie could read to our grandkids. After years of searching, we found it. A cozy, slightly weathered cottage on a parcel of land that, crucially, was platted a decade before the main Heron's Landing development was even a blueprint. This was our little slice of heaven, legally distinct and beautifully separate, or so I thought. We'd been there maybe 2 weeks, just long enough for the scent of fresh paint to fade and the sound of the loons to feel like home, when we had our first visitor. A golf cart painted white with an official-looking but totally fake HL Patrol sticker on the side came rolling up our driveway. A ridiculous flashing yellow light sat on its roof, spinning importantly. Out stepped a woman in her late 50s, wearing a tactical vest that was at least one size too small and sunglasses that covered half her face. She carried a clipboard like it was a royal scepter. "Arthur Miller," she announced, not asked. I nodded, wiping sawdust on my jeans. "I'm Brenda, president of the Blue Jay Lake Community Association. Here's your welcome packet." She shoved a thick binder into my hands. "Dues are $800 a year, payable by the 1st. That covers road maintenance, dock insurance, and our community security patrol." She patted the absurd golf cart, "which I personally oversee." Ellie, ever the diplomat, came out with a smile. "Oh, it's so nice to meet you." We actually weren't aware there was a mandatory HOA. It wasn't in any of our closing documents. That was when I saw the first crack in Brenda's mask of civic duty. A flicker of something hard, something possessive, flashed in her eyes. "Well, of course there is," she said, her voice dripping with condescension. "Some realtors just don't do their homework. But not to worry. I'm here to get you onboarded. As an engineer, I live by codes, contracts, and legal frameworks. Something felt off. That night, I did what I do best. I dug into the paperwork. I spread our property survey across the dining table, cross-referenced it with the county tax maps online, and confirmed it in black and white. Our lot, along with 4 of our immediate neighbors, was established in 1982. The Blue Jay Lake Community Association was incorporated in 1994. We were geographically next to them, but legally we were on an island. Joining her association was optional. Her authority ended precisely at the edge of our lawn. So I wrote her a polite, carefully worded letter explaining our findings and respectfully declining her offer to join. I thought that would be the end of it. God, was I naive. The war started not with a bang, but with a piece of paper tucked under my windshield wiper, a formal notice of violation. Our crime? An unapproved avian structure. It was a birdhouse, a little wooden one my grandson had painted for me, hanging from a pine tree. Apparently, according to a bylaw in a contract I never signed, it was the wrong shade of blue. The fine was $50, with a handwritten note at the bottom. "This is your only friendly warning." It was so absurd I almost laughed. But then came the second notice, for improper recycling bin placement, another $50. I realized this wasn't about rules. It was about submission. Brenda couldn't stand the idea of a single house on her precious lake that wasn't under her thumb. Our polite refusal wasn't a rejection of her HOA, it was a rejection of her. And she took that personally. Her little patrol cart became a permanent fixture at the end of our driveway. She'd just sit there for hours, sunglasses on, clipboard in her lap, watching, It was a blatant, juvenile attempt at intimidation, and it was deeply unsettling. Our piece of heaven was starting to feel like a prison yard. The real escalation happened at my 65th birthday party. We had a few friends over, music playing at a perfectly reasonable volume. Our daughter Chloe was there with her husband and our grandkids. That's when Brenda came roaring down the road and blocked the end of our driveway, preventing our friends from pulling in. Noise violation and an unauthorized gathering, she announced, loud enough for everyone on our deck to hear. My friend Dave, a gentle giant of a man, leaned out of his car window. "Ma'am, we're just trying to park." "I am the problem solver here," Brenda declared grandly. "This is a private community with rules." That's when Chloe walked down from the porch. She was in jeans and a t-shirt, looking like any other guest. "Hi there," she said with a disarming smile. "I'm Chloe. I'm just curious, which specific county ordinance are we violating?" The question threw Brenda completely off balance. She sputtered, "It's not an ordinance, it's the community bylaws. They're legally binding. They're legally binding for members of your association, sure," Chloe agreed pleasantly. "But my parents aren't members. So again, I'm just wondering what law you think is being broken here that gives you the authority to block a public road." Brenda's eyes narrowed into slits. "You're a real smart aleck, aren't you?" she seethed before finally moving her cart. After the party, Chloe stayed behind. "Dad," she said, her expression serious, "this isn't a neighbor dispute anymore. She's actively harassing you. Her impersonating an officer with that ridiculous get-up is going to land her in real trouble." That's when we decided to stop defending and start investigating. Chloe had one of her admins at the sheriff's office do a quick business search. And that's when we found the first bombshell. The Blue Jay Lake Community Association had let its nonprofit corporate status lapse. They hadn't filed the paperwork in 2 years. Legally, her HOA didn't exist. It was a ghost corporation. All the dues she was collecting, all the fines she was levying, it was all being done under the name of a defunct entity. The money was going somewhere, but it wasn't into a legally recognized community association. The final piece of the puzzle came from our neighbor, a timid retiree named Mr. Henderson. I saw him at the post office looking stressed. I gently mentioned my birdhouse fine. He looked around nervously, then whispered, "She just makes it all up, you know. We haven't had a real meeting in over a year." And the snowplow guy, his contract wasn't renewed last winter. "She said she found someone cheaper, but then that big blizzard hit and nobody came. We were all snowed in for 3 days. Bingo. It wasn't just a power trip. It was embezzlement. She was collecting fees for services she had no intention of providing, using HOA tyranny as a smokescreen to hide her own personal piggy bank. So we devised a 2-pronged plan. First, the civil attack. I drafted a masterpiece of a letter, a polite, professional takedown. It laid out the facts, the association's dissolved corporate status, the state statutes she was violating, and the questions about where the nearly $30,000 in annual dues were going when the roads weren't being plowed and the community dock was rotting. I sent it via certified mail to every single homeowner in Heron's Landing. The second prong of the plan was simple. Wait. We knew Brenda would react to that letter with the force of a hurricane. She was a cornered animal, and cornered animals don't run. They attack. I had my new high-def security camera running 24/7 pointed right at my driveway. All we had to do was mail the letter and wait for the queen to topple her own castle. The explosion came that Sunday. It was a perfect afternoon. The grandkids were splashing by the dock. Ellie was reading on the porch. Then I heard it, the angry buzz of Brenda's golf cart coming in way too fast. She didn't stop at the road. She rocketed right onto our lawn, crushing a bed of Ellie's hydrangeas, and vaulted out before it even stopped moving. "You!" she screamed, her face a blotchy, furious red. She was waving a crumpled copy of my letter. "How dare you? This is slander. These are lies!" I stepped off the porch, my voice deliberately calm. "Brenda, you're trespassing. You need to leave." "Your property?" she shrieked. "This is my community. I built it. I protect it from people like you who think the rules don't apply." That's when Chloe walked up from the lake, a towel wrapped around her swimsuit, looking every bit the concerned mom. "Is everything okay here?" she asked, her voice gentle. Seeing Chloe seemed to snap the last thread of Brenda's sanity. "You!" she snarled. "You're with him. Don't you tell me to calm down!" And that's when she did it. She reached behind her back and pulled out a black semi-automatic handgun. Time seemed to slow down. My heart slammed against my ribs. She leveled it with a shaky, determined grip directly at my daughter's chest. "Hands up!" she screamed, her eyes wide and crazed. "You are trespassing! I am making a citizen's arrest!" But Chloe, my daughter, was magnificent. She didn't flinch. The concerned mom vanished, and in her place stood the county sheriff. She slowly raised her hands, palms open. "Ma'am," she said, and her voice was no longer gentle. It was the voice of pure, undiluted authority. "My name is Chloe Miller. I am the sheriff of this county. You are committing aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and I am ordering you, as a peace officer, to put your weapon on the ground. Right now." Brenda just stared, her face a mask of confusion. "The sheriff?" She scoffed, a wild laugh bubbling up. "You're just some little... In a bathing suit! I am the authority here. I am the sheriff," Chloe repeated, her voice dropping, each word like a chip of ice. "And you are about 10 seconds away from spending the rest of your life in prison. This is your last chance. Put the gun down." Just then, we heard the faint wail of sirens. My son-in-law had called 911 the second he saw the gun. The sound finally broke through Brenda's fantasy. The color drained from her face. The gun fell from her limp hand and clattered onto the driveway. 2 patrol cars screeched to a halt, and as the deputies put her in handcuffs, this crumbling tyrant just whimpered, "But I'm the president." Her reign was over, not with a bang, but with the quiet, final click of handcuffs. The aftermath was swift. Faced with my meticulous records, Mr. Henderson's testimony, and the crystal-clear security footage of her pointing a gun at the county sheriff, Brenda took a plea deal. Felony menacing. She got 5 years of strict probation, a massive fine, and was legally barred from ever serving on any community board in the state again. She and her husband sold their house at a loss a few months later. Her husband actually came by to apologize one day, a broken man, just mumbling about how she just needed to feel important. The community, free from her reign, formed a new, legitimate HOA. They elected Mr. Henderson as treasurer, and they're doing just fine. And us? We finally have our peace. The lake is quiet, the neighbors are friendly, and the only notices we get are invitations to potlucks. But sometimes when I'm sitting on the porch watching the sunset, I think about Brenda. We exposed a fraud and stopped a bully, and justice was served. I guess, but it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Every community seems to have a Brenda, someone who twists a little bit of power into a weapon. So my question to you is this. Was she just one bad apple, a monster we were right to take down? Or is the system of HOAs itself the problem, creating little kingdoms that are bound to be ruled by tyrants? Let me know what you think in the comments below.